I want to show you what storytelling is outside the speaking business, what storytellers do. There's a big difference. In public speaking, you typically find a collection of stories that express who you are and what your message is. You tell the stories and then finish up with a phrase that pays, a moral of the story, a takeaway that emphasizes part of your message. That's not how traditional storytelling works. In traditional storytelling, you tell the story. You don't give it a moral. You don't try to interpret it for people. And there's an advantage to that. People can take away their own meaning. People may need different messages, and they may need them all at that one time that you're telling the story. So you open up the possibility. Here is a traditional folk tale about a traditional character. Oh yes, that's another aspect of traditional storytelling. You don't make all the stories about yourself. Anyway, this story is about a character called Jack. Now, Jack never did like to do a lick of work, but sometimes you just got it. There was a time Jack got a job on a nearby farm. He had to walk down through town, up past the banker's house where the banker's daughter always used to sit out rocking on the front porch, never smiling at nobody, over the creek and up to the other farm. Well, after work the first day, the farmer gave Jack $1. Jack grabbed that dollar in his hand and he went running lickety-split to get home, and when he got down near the creek, he tripped and he fell and he let go the dollar, and the wind blew the dollar in the creek and the water washed the dollar away. When he got home, his mama just looked at him and said, "Jack, you ain't got the sense you was born with. When somebody gives you $1, you stick that down in your pocket real deep so it don't blow away." "Yes, ma'am," said Jack. Well, after work the next day, the farmer gave Jack a pail of milk. It weren't easy getting that pail into his pocket. And every step of the way, more milk sloshed out of the pail, so finally, when he arrived home, there weren't much milk in the pail, but a whole lot in his boot, and he was going step squish, step squish. His mama just looked at him and said, "Jack, you ain't got the sense you was born with. When somebody gives you a pail of milk, you rest it on top of your head and hold on, and you walk real slow so it doesn't bump into anything and doesn't slosh." "Yes, ma'am," said Jack. Well, after work the next day, the farmer gave Jack a big brick of butter. And he put that on his head, and he walked home real slow in the late afternoon sun. And by the time he got home, all the butter had melted away and caked up his hair and was dripping off his nose. His mama just looked at him and said, "Jack, you ain't got the sense you was born with. When somebody gives you a brick of butter, you go to the well and you wash it a time or two in the cold water so it's real firm. Then you wrap it up in some leaves and you run home real fast with it before it melts." "Yes, ma'am," said Jack. After work the next day, the farmer gave Jack a kitten. He hadn't washed it once before it scratched up his face and hands and ran off in the bushes. When he got home, his mama just said, "Jack, you ain't got the sense you was born with. When somebody gives you a kitten, you tie a ribbon around its neck and you lead it home going, 'Here, kitty, 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 here, kitty, kitty, kitty.'" "Yes, ma'am," said Jack. After work the next day, the farmer gave Jack a big leg of ham. He tied a ribbon around it and he went home going, "Here, kitty, kitty, kitty," and by the time he got home, he weren't pulling nothing but an empty bone, and followed by 14 dogs that wouldn't shoo away. His mama just looked at him and said, "Jack, you ain't got the sense you was born with. When somebody gives you a leg of ham, you hoist it up on your back and you carry it home that way." "Yes, ma'am," said Jack. After work the next day, the farmer gave Jack a donkey. hard as it was getting it on his back, it was even worse carrying it because every step of the way it was twisting and braying and kicking its legs in the air. Now, Jack got down by the banker's house where the banker's daughter was just sitting out on the front porch, not smiling or anything, and she was a sick girl. The banker had taken her to doctors, and they told the banker she was suffering from the moros. Unless he could get somebody to make her see the light side of life and laugh a little bit, the poor girl was just going to waste away. Well, when she saw Jack with that donkey, she started chuckling, and soon she was rolling on the front porch laughing so hard. Now the banker had said that anybody who could get his daughter to laugh, he'd let marry the girl and give half his fortune to it, and he was good to his word. He did let Jack marry the girl, and he did give Jack half his fortune. And that was a good thing for Jack, because he hadn't got the sense he was born with. That's the story, Lazy Jack. Notice I don't throw in any moral or try to push any message, because it's a folk tale and you can find whatever meaning in it you want. Most of these Jack stories involve Jack getting a wife. So I imagine they're most appealing to young people who are concerned about how to grow up. But you might have found an interest in it yourself. And that is the major difference between folk tales, storytelling, and public speaking storytelling.